everyone. Today I am going to talk to you all about the differences with the two major organizations in terms of medical coding and national board exams. What is it like to take a board exam? What is the environment like? Things that you should do in preparation for taking a board exam with both organizations. I was lucky enough to sit for multiple exams for both organizations, so I'm definitely a person that can help you with that. Let's talk about the AAPC first. The testing sites can range, with the testing sites from AAPC can range from locations like colleges, hospitals, churches, you name it. There's going to be a main proctor and an assistant proctor that will oversee the testing. They do not work for the AAPC. They are simply credentialed with the AAPC. I know that the main proctor has to be a CPCI, in other words, an instructor, that they've sat for the National Board Exam, instructor exam, and passed that. But upon arriving to the testing site, the proctors will read the exam rules to everybody, verify your picture IDs, and conduct a book check. So they're going to look through it, basically pass through the pages of your books, and tabs are allowed all over the place on all three books, which is a very lovely thing that AAPC allows for testers, because tabs is everything for us getting to our codes faster, and time is always of the essence. But the proctors, are looking within the pages of your manuals to see if you've gone and added, glued, stapled, paper clipped, any kind of paper material to your books. Handwritten notes made by you into the pages of your books, anywhere and everywhere, are absolutely okay. Again, another blessed thing that the AAPC allows, I've never seen a limit to the amount of handwriting that you can have into your books. Each tester is going to receive an exam booklet made of paper. It's just a paper booklet, and it comes in what we almost like shrink wrap. You can see right through the wrapper. And at some point, the proctor will say, "On your mark, get set, go," and then the clock starts to tick. For the full duration of 5 hours and 40 minutes is what they usually allow to most national board exams by the AAPC. You will be handed a Scantron, which is where you'll want to mark your answers onto the actual Scantron. You can mark them in your book as well, but don't forget to do it on your Scantron. That's what's going to be graded. The book itself, you can write all over and use it as scratch paper all throughout your test taking. At the end of the exam, the proctors will have you place labels, sticker labels, all across to kind of paste it up, and no one can get back inside your book. And then that gets shipped off to Utah, as well as your Scantrons. But you can absolutely write all over your exam, highlight, pencil, underline, and that's just your business. It's between you and the AAPC. Upon completion of the exam, the books and the Scantron are shipped separately by your proctors to Utah for grading. Typically an exam taken on a Saturday, and results generally appear that Thursday. Sometimes sooner, sometimes later, and that's no fun. But it's happened every now and then. Usually it's within the same week. And if you have scheduled your exam at a college, I do want to add to maybe drive up there the day before or super early that morning, and plan for potentially having a hard time finding the actual building. I mean, colleges, they're huge campuses, and you can have a really tough time figuring out which exact building it is when you're foreign to that college. It's not your campus. You may bring snacks to munch on and drinks to drink on, drink during the exam, although I don't recommend that. I think you should eat a very healthy breakfast and a very filling breakfast that morning, and then never mind the food and the snacks and the drinks, because I know that when I sat for board exams, it was the adrenaline that I never even got hungry. you know, because my mind was so focused that I'm going to own this exam. So, you know, but they are allowed. It will take time away every time you eat or reach for that drink. The clock will not stop ticking. You may use the restroom you just get up and go to the proctor and, you know, actually you can just get up and leave the room and go to the restroom and come back. Without asking the proctors, but the whole time you're out in the bathroom break, the time is still going. You're losing time. So again, another good reason for not drinking a lot, because it's going to make you go to the restroom a lot. So don't depend on the testing site to provide a clock for you. Sometimes there is a clock in the classroom, and sometimes there isn't, and sometimes, shoot, it's behind you where it's inconveniently located. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be a test taker having to turn around and look at the back wall all the time. So again, time is of the essence in everything that you do. Things that you don't think about really a lot to time. So let's see what else. The testing sites, well, I guess that's what I have to say in regard to AAPC. I can't seem to think of anything else right now. I'm going to make a separate video in terms of credentials that's going to go right along with the AAPC and AHIMA. But right now, I just want to talk testing only. Now I'm going to move along to AHIMA. The testing sites are held at Pearson VUE locations located nationwide. The beautiful thing about taking exams with AHIMA is that you literally can book an exam Monday through Saturday with absolutely no wait time. If I woke up today and it's Monday and I want to take a test tomorrow on Tuesday, by golly, I can do that, as long as there's room in that Pearson VUE location, and there generally is. What else? The Pearson VUE locations almost always place you in a cubicle situation. So you'll be walked by the so-called assistant or proctor, you know, to your actual cubicle. There will be headsets there that you can place onto your head that'll drown out any noise around you, which is a nice little factor. In this setting, you could very well be the only coder taking a test that day. In other words, there might be an electrician taking a test to the right of you and a realtor taking their test to the left of you. Testers are 100% on camera the entire time you are testing. That was really, really crazy for me, because I wasn't used to that, having tested with AAPC so many times. There was never any cameras that we were aware of. But these at AHIMA, they're very well, you know, in your face and on you at all times. If you have to use the restroom with an AHIMA test, you will need to raise your hand, and the proctor will guide you out of the testing unit and stop you at their desk. And what they're going to do is they're going to sign you out. And mind you, all this is taking time. And the entire time you are using the restroom and returning, the time still kept going. So when you return from using the restroom, they will, I forgot to say this, but they will run a check on you. They're going to check you from head to toe, basically, and they do this right when you get there as well. But I'm now talking in terms of okay. You know what? Let me back up a little bit. So when you arrive to the AHIMA Pearson VUE location, you're going to grab a ticket, generally from a little machine that spits out tickets, and so you go and have a seat, and you wait for the proctor to call your name. Well, once they call your name, you go to the counter and they do a book check, and they're checking for, again, anything like the APC. They don't want to see anything glued or pasted or stapled paperwork-wise of any sort onto the pages of your book. Handwriting is allowed. It cannot be, it seems to be like a limit to some of the handwriting. You know, well, really, no, I'm not going to say handwriting, because there is definitely a no, you can't have tabs on your books. The only book you can have tabs placed on is the CPT, and the tabs that are on the book better be from the book itself. So the AMA prints tabs on the front cover or second page of your CPT manual, and those are acceptable to use. So the only book you can actually have tabbed is the CPT. If the ICD-10 and the HCPCS are tabbed, you may very well be turned away. I'll explain to you my story here in just a bit, but let's go back now that I've covered that. After they've done a book check, you're going to go back to your chair, and at that point they'll call you back, verify your ID. After some time, after you've read the rules, they'll call you back, verify your ID, and take you back into the testing unit. Now, upon arriving in the testing unit, there's another employee that does a head-to-toe check. I mean, they pat you down, they make you roll up your sleeves, make you roll up your pants, shake out your shirt. They take off your glasses and do an inspection on your glasses. It's crazy. If you don't know all this stuff going in, it can really just like upset you and like, what are you doing? This is violating, so I'm making this video to help you all get past that and not have to go through that, because I did, as no one to guide me when I took my test. But so the same thing happens when you go to leave the testing unit to use the restroom. Upon returning back, that same head-to-toe check is done all over again, and then you're finally walked back into the cubicle area to finish taking your test. No phones are allowed, and I forgot to say, no phones are allowed with AAPC as well as AHIMA. If you admit that you have a phone with the AAPC, they'll make you go to the car and go leave it in your car. And if you come in with your cell phone with AHIMA, the good thing is they do offer lockers, and so you can put your cell phone and personal items there while you take your test. But no phones would be obviously allowed into the actual testing unit itself. Let's see. Now, the most fantastic thing about AHIMA is the fact that when you hit submit with your test and and you wondering, did I pass, the results are printed immediately. So all you've got to do is, well, the proctor comes and walks you out of the testing unit. They'll walk you out to the front desk area where you first checked in and they did a book check. And the lady working there, the gentleman working there, will have already received that printout, and they folded it in half, to respect you, that it's your grade, they're not peeking. And then it's up to you to open your paperwork there and see if you passed, or wait until you get in the car and check on your own time when no one's looking, right? So that's what happens. It's just a fantastic thing that you get to know right away that where you stand upon completing the exam. I had been with AAPC for several years, but last year I decided, let me go out and take the exams from AHIMA. Everything was great except for the two tiny, huge things, which was, number one, I got very upset that they turned me away because of the tabs that I had on my 3 books. I got sent home. I literally got sent home due to the tabs being all over my 3 books. And thank God, I own an academy and I have a million books sitting over at the academy. So I was actually able to race across town, grab, a new set of virgin books still in plastic wrapper, and return to the testing site with completely untabbed books. But anyway, the other thing that I wasn't too crazy about with AHIMA is that head to toe check. After the first time, the second time, third time, I took 3 tests with them. The second and third time I was fine because I knew what was in for. But it's the whole thing of not knowing, that's just a bit intrusive. But I didn't like, being checked from head to toe and roll this up and roll that up, and it's just a little bit embarrassing and a bit intrusive. And then everybody's watching too. So anybody's walking by, people there are sitting down in the cubicles, they can see you. So it's just, not cool. But anyway, the thing about the tabbing system, why I'm going to share with you now my personal experience with taking an exam with AHIMA, is that, the lady that checked me in and that did my book check, the first thing she said was, "What is this? What are all these tabs?" And so I'm looking at her like, well, aren't you impressed? Isn't this neat? And she's looking at me like, are you crazy? And so I just didn't understand. And she said, you can't have, this is just an excessive amount of tabs. And I was like, well, it is, and then so I go, you know what, well, let's just call the AHIMA and just make sure that this is okay. And she's like, oh, we're going to call them, all right. And I was like, good Lord. I was this thing, like, I had this aura about me, like, lady, do you know who I am? I'm Miss Ortega. I am no one. No, but you know, that's, you know, I was just so upset that what is wrong with this lady? Well, it only got worse because when she called the AAPC, I mean the AHIMA, you know, she said, I have a lady in front of me, and I mean, she just has an excessive amount of tabbing. And I was like, lady, I'm right here. I'm hearing you. You know, don't you want to just like tone it down? And no. So, you know, off I went, and I said, okay, well, let me go grab the other books that don't have any tabs, and I'll be right back. And by the time I went and come back, you know, I was starving. I had worked up such an appetite, getting so upset over getting thrown out, that I'm Miss Ortega, and you know, that I got hungry. So by the time I got back, you know, maybe by the grace of God, she let me in and take the test, you know, 30 minutes late. And I began to take my test, but under very bad circumstances. I was starving and upset and not concentrating. And but as I got into the test, the first test I took was the CCSP, which in my opinion, there will be another video, is the equivalent of AAPC's CPC in terms of it's the physician-based credential. And so I took that exam, and as I began to calm down and get over my hunger, suppress it some, you know, I began to just kind of take the test, and I mean, things were just blowing and going. I was having a good old time. And in my opinion, you know, it just it wasn't completely, you know, like, it didn't kill me to take that test, you know, in other words. And so, you know, I basically, I remember finishing super early. By super, I think like 40 minutes early. And I began to look around the cubicle in the testing unit, that is, anybody else finished like me early? You know, and maybe I did something wrong, you know, it just crazy how I had finished that early. And anyway, I was bored, so I just got up and I said, okay, well, I'm done. And I just knew I had passed, and that's all there was to it. Well, I'd gotten so excited about passing, you know, without a worry in the world, because I did, by the way. I went up and got the paper and opened that paper up, you know, right in front of the employee, and smiled hard as I passed, and yay, I went skipping and hopping all the way down the hallway and into my car and drove home. Well, I got so excited of passing that exam, you know, on my first try without a real, you know, breaking out into a real sweat, that I just got on my little, you know, on my little agenda, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go and take the CCS, or the CCA this Friday. I've got to work Tuesday through Thursday, but Friday I'm going to go and sit and for the CCSP, because by golly, I think I can do it. So, you know, and again, I sat for that exam and had a grand old time just coding along. And once again, I got my grade. I folded up the paper right in front of the employee, smiled big, and said, yay, you know, and I danced all the way down the hallway and into my car, and once again, it was just wonderful. So, you know, with all the confidence in the world, with the CCSP and the CCA behind me, I said, you know what, let me just go out on a limb here and sit for the CCS exam. Now, the CCS exam is one exam that I had been studying for, self-studying, mind you, because I'd bought a couple of programs here and there that just didn't do any justice to what I needed to learn. I ended up actually studying out of a textbook that I had in my shelf from years ago. And I had placed plenty and plenty of study time in preparation for the CCS exam, but no matter what, I was still very nervous that, you know what, I could pass this thing, I could possibly not. And that's the sole purpose for that is because I didn't have any inpatient real world experience. My whole life I'd been an outpatient coder. So it's lacking the inpatient real world experience that made me feel iffy, like I may or may not land this thing. So, you know, so I started to take the test, and I mean, I wasn't even 10 minutes into it when all of a sudden I was already breaking out into a sweat. This one was challenging for me. You know, I finished in the exam with probably 10 minutes to spare, but still felt lukewarm about it, unsure. You know, this time I didn't exactly run to the lady and grab my results. I actually dragged myself down the hallway to go and get the results, and then at that, I sure as heck didn't open the paper in front of her. So this time I very much, you know, sunk my head and walked down the hallway and basically waited until I got into the elevator. And in the elevator, I just prayed I prayed a prayer to God. I said, God, please help me, give me the blessing of this credential. I worked really hard, and if I don't pass this exam, I'm not going to know who to turn to, because I haven't found anybody out there that can teach me from the ground up, inpatient coding. So, I just prayed to him, and I began to open the paper very slowly, and I passed. I couldn't believe it. I had never fallen to my knees the way I did that day in that elevator, of pure joy, of I can't believe. It was an achievement like absolutely no other. I'd sat for many credentials from AAPC and even AHIMA by that point, but nothing felt like I had made it until I had passed the CCS board exam. So, that's my experience, and with both testing sites and how it went for me. Hopefully this video helps you, better prepare yourselves for taking these board exams with these organizations. But now for the most incredible thing about sitting for the board exams with AHIMA. Because there's no wait time, and you can literally take an exam from one on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, to be honest with you. Because you can do that, I accomplished one of the most amazing things with AHIMA because of those policies that they have. And I literally attained all 3 credentials through AHIMA in less than 11 days. And that is fabulous. I had sat for many board exams with AAPC, but I take a test early in the year and a different one later in the year, and I just kind of, one this year, one next year, and eventually I had all these credentials with AAPC. But it's just something really incredible to know that you can take all the exams that you want any day you want, back to back like that. So really cool. I forgot to mention with AAPC that when it comes to you receiving your results with them, you want to you're gonna log in. So let's say that you took the test on that Saturday, and you'll want to get to you'll want to log on to your account, enter your username, your password, and then for the first time you'll see a little link that says exam results. And so you'll click here and click around and click there and everywhere, and it kind of guides you along to different pages when it finally spits out your grade at you. And that's a really neat thing. So you'll see PASS there, and then a score sitting just beautiful. Another little secret that I have for you with AAPC board exams is that you actually don't even have to click around at all, here and there and everywhere, on your own account from AAPC. You can literally just look up at the top of the heading of your membership. It has your name and your member number, and after that member number appears your credential without even having to click around anywhere. People don't generally know that, so I gotta give you that little tip. And with AHIMA, in terms of being timed, there's different hours, length of times with different exams. So again, I'm making a video after this one, ironing out the ins and outs of every exam through AAPC and AHIMA. But I do know that they do have a timer on with AHIMA, it's a computer exam, it's not paper. So they have a little clock in the upper right corner where you're seeing your time down all the way to 0. All the way back down to 0 whenever the time is up. I will say it's a beautiful thing with AAPC to be able to take paper exams. I love the fact that you can have a pencil in your hand and highlight here or there if you need to. You can't do that on a computer exam like it is with the AHIMA. And one last thing with AHIMA is that they do give you, you can't write anything, you don't have a pen or a pencil in your hand the whole time, but they do give you like an erasable board of some sort that you can jot down any quick notes. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of math, especially with the integumentary system, and so I remember being given a board, but it was absolutely erasable. And so, that's how it went for me. So Stay tuned for a really awesome video that's coming your way. We're getting a lot of calls that which credential is best for me. Tell me more about, you know, the specific specialty credentials. I'm going to place a video on the COC, the the CPMA, the CRC, the CIC here in the future, very near future, and I think that that'll really help guide you all along with you know, what credentials to attain once you've attained the CCSP from AHIMA or the CPC through AAPC. Okay, thanks for watching. You all have a great day.